Passport Mommy with Michelle Jerson is a show about the journey of motherhood. Joining you on your greatest adventure, here's Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy.
We have a great show lined up today. We're going to be speaking with Nicole Feliciano. She is the CEO of MomTrends Media and the publisher of Family Ski and Snowboard Guide. Shannon Bridger is a wife and mom to 3 and the owner of Confetti and Twine, a great boutique shop if you're looking for party favors or maybe gender reveal ideas. And then we're going to talk with Jody Grant and Audrey Hutchinson about Keeping the Lights On After School, the program that happened this past week. But first up, I am thrilled to have with me Julie Rosen. She has been a doula for over 16 years. She was my doula during my labor and delivery. She is certified by the Doulas of North America. She has also been an international board certified lactation consultant for 11 years and has attended nearly 800 births. She's also the proud mother to 2 grown daughters. Hi, Julie. Thanks for joining me.
Hi, good morning, Michelle. Thanks so much for having me.
Sure. So whenever anybody is asking for a referral for a doula, I always give your name because I will forever be thankful for the birth that I had. And I really credit you with that. And I have to say that at the beginning, when I told my husband that I wanted a doula, he's like, what's a doula? Why do we need a doula? Why do we need to spend this on a doula? And he was very negative because he didn't know anything. He also didn't like that I said I wanted to go with a midwife versus a doctor for the pregnancy. And then the more he learned, and then after he met you, and then after he saw what went on and how instrumental you are during the birth, he said, you know what? I'm so glad. I'm so glad we had Julie. So tell me how you got into being a doula.
Well, first, I want to say what an absolute delight it was to be with you for the birth of your baby girl. And I always say I'm so grateful to the families that invite me into this really intimate space in their lives, and that trust me to be there for them in this very private time. And I also say that I don't do any of the contractions. Just one thing about doulas is mom has to do all the contractions. So you get all the credit, Michelle. I'm so pleased that I was there to be a cheerleader and a support. But Michelle, you were amazing, and you get all the credit for all of that hard work you did to bring your beautiful little girl into the world. So let me just say that.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, I really mean it. So how did I get into this? With my first birth, I had a vision for a certain kind of birth that I wanted, and I took childbirth classes, and I just kind of assumed that my husband would be good enough support to help me get there, and that my doctors would be aligned with what that their practices would be aligned with what I wanted for my birth. And unfortunately, both those assumptions were incorrect. I love my husband. He's wonderful. He was tremendous support. He did as much as he knows how to do. But asking your husband or your partner to be the primary support person is like asking a man who's never played football to coach the Super Bowl.
Yes. And we used to argue about this. Every day we would leave birthing class and I would say, we have to do our exercises. We have to practice the massage. And we would get into such fights over it because he didn't want to do it. And then after the birth, he said, I didn't need to do anything. I said, yes, because we had Julie, but if she wasn't there.
Oh, that's okay. Well, I still think it's nice to practice those things anyway, because it's nice for, kind of bonding you guys and looking towards the birth and all of that. It's a nice little sort of private time that you quiet time that you schedule for yourself. So I wouldn't say that, doulas should replace the childbirth class or replace the preparation that a partner does with his, with the laboring woman or the pregnant woman. But I would say that it takes a lot of the pressure off of him for sure.
Yes.
But, Jordy was wonderful support to you. He was very nurturing. He was very loving. And I like to think that doulas help the partners to be the best support they can be, because they don't feel like it's all 100% on them to have to say the exact right thing and do the exact right thing at every moment of the labor. They can just hold your hand and look into your eyes and tell you they love you and how proud they are of you, because they know that someone else knows the nitty-gritty of what positions to get into now. And, are you sure we're not staying home too long? Are you sure it's not time to leave for the hospital? They can unburden themselves of all of those practicalities because the doula takes care of all of that. And, so I like to say that in some labors, yes, the dad, would love to just sort of say, you know what, I don't feel so comfortable being, involved or putting, doing massage or even being in the room. I have had a few like that, and that's fine, as long as mom and dad are on the same page about that, that's fine. But right. I find that many of the partners that I work with ultimately say that, they felt that they were going to not be involved at all, or feel kind of shut out or elbowed out of the process. And, so many of them say, you know what, I felt so much more involved than I thought I would be in an effective way, because either you showed me how to put my hands on her, or you just relieved me from worrying about all the other things, so that I could be there to provide the kind of support that I wanted to provide and felt comfortable providing. And they just felt much safer providing that support. They didn't, they felt like they had a guide to sort of show them, more effective support. Like they many men say they're afraid to put their hands on their laboring partner, because they're afraid they're going to touch her the wrong way. And if I show a partner how to provide counter pressure, or how to touch her, there's no there's no magic to this. It's all about, just the kinds of things that you do to make your partner feel better any day that she's feeling crappy, any day that she's feeling a little bit sore during the pregnancy, or a little bit sad about something, or a little bit overwhelmed. It's all of that. It's just a different kind of day. That's all. It's just, the day that you're giving birth. But, partners really don't need to be afraid. And I think doulas help them to not be afraid.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I know he felt the benefit a lot, and everything that you said. And I know that I would have probably been at the hospital first thing in the morning when my contractions were a few minutes apart, and you kept me we happened to be in a hotel room because we went there because of a big storm, but you happened to keep me there for 10 hours, which I would not have done if it weren't for you. And I was so happy that we did, because I was thrilled to labor there than to go to the hospital and have to possibly get interventions, which I knew I didn't want to get if I didn't have to. So how do you improve birth outcomes? How does a doula in general do this?
Well, you just touched on that a little bit. I think so many women think that, as soon as they start having contractions that start to feel uncomfortable or painful, that it's time to run to the hospital. And the earlier you get there, the more likely you are to have interventions thrust upon you, because, let's face it, hospitals are taxed resources. They don't want laboring women in their rooms for, 36 hours because they need the space, especially in a Manhattan hospital. And we're not in Manhattan, but I see it all the time. People actually get sent home, which is really demoralizing, by the way. Imagine going to the hospital and having them tell you, nope, you're not in labor, and sending you home. You're not in good labor enough, and sending you home. So I think, helping women labor at home for as long as possible, as long as it's safe, as long as there aren't any, exceptional risk factors that necessitate her being in the hospital. I think that's really important. And I think doulas are kind of Sherpas in that way. And I certainly didn't come up with that term. I think Ricky Lake did. But we just kind of know how it looks when it's time to go to the hospital, especially the more experience you have, the more you just sense, based on everything you're seeing from the laboring woman, how she looks when it's really time to go. And I remember Jordy actually looking at me, I hope you don't mind me sharing this little tidbit, and saying, but Michelle's contractions are this far apart and lasting this long. Shouldn't we be going? And I remember looking at me saying, I know the books say that, but she just doesn't look like she's there yet. Like she's in that zone where we really need to be there yet. And I think we stayed in the hotel room another 3 or 4 or 5 hours after he asked the question, and still got to the hospital in plenty of time. We didn't walk in and have you deliver in 5 minutes or anything like that. There was enough time to get settled and all of that. But it's I think the numbers are misleading. You should call your doctor and go to the hospital, and contractions are 5 minutes apart, lasting a minute for an hour. And for most first-time moms, not all, but for most first-time moms, that's going to get them there too early. Once we're there, we doulas help women to, navigate the system, to ask questions. Interventions do get suggested all the time. Oh, I just want to break your water, or let me just give you a little Pitocin. That'll just make things happen a little faster. And doulas are there to not to make decisions for the laboring woman, but to just sort of say, hey, do you have any questions for your doctor about this, about, why he or she is recommending Pitocin or recommending breaking your water? Because maybe it's not really necessary. Maybe it's about, convenience and, or maybe they think that you want it to go faster, but you're very comfortable just sort of waiting things out and letting things progress on their own. So doulas are there to, to help the couple, to help the mom, to get information, to ask questions so that she can make informed decisions. And I think that reduces unnecessary interventions. Women are also more.
And I wish we had more time to talk because there's so much more I would like to share. And so you'll have to come back another day on the show. But real quickly, tell everyone how they can reach you. You're in the New York, New Jersey area. You also travel to parts of Connecticut. How can someone get in touch with you?
I am an old dinosaur, so I don't have a website, but I'm working
that's fine.
But they can email me is the best way, and it's Julie.Rosen, JULIE.ROSEN @Verizon, VERIZON.net.
Perfect. Julie, thank you so much for joining me today. I can go on. And again, we'll have to do it again. Next up, we have Shannon Bridger. She is the founder of Confetti and Twine. More coming up next. I'm Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy.
Motherhood is both amazing and difficult at the same time. The Passport Mommy, Michelle Jerson, is here to share in your journey.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy. And this segment, we're talking with Shannon Bridger. She is the wife and mom to 3. She is the owner of Confetti and Twine, and she owns the boutique on Etsy, which is where I found her. And she sells on-trend party goods sourced from around the world. Shannon, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So tell me how you got started with Confetti and Twine, because I always love hearing mompreneur stories.
Well, it was about over 10 years ago when my first daughter, Mia, was born. And from making her first birthday cake to all the parties in between. And really, it was her 5th birthday party, which was the Candyland theme. And I kind of went all out for it. I made a Candyland themed cake, candy buffet, the gingerbread man, and I even took out all the furniture out of the living room. So then I kind of realized that maybe I could make a living out of this. So that's really kind of where I got started, and then just transitioned into party supplies and lots of fun.
Wow, a Candyland party. Your daughter must have been in heaven. What a great idea.
She was. Yeah, she'll never forget that one, nor will I.
Sure. So tell me about some of the things you're selling now. What is in your boutique?
We sell items such as balloons, straws, confetti, cupcake toppers, party pinwheel fans, banners, favors, some handmade items, and just lots of fun.
Yeah, I came across something on your site, which I thought was really fun for a baby gender reveal. If somebody's looking to maybe send something to their parents or their other family members to reveal the gender of the baby. And tell me about that, because that was clever.
The gender reveal pumpkin is just a fun little pumpkin of a surprise to reveal the gender of the baby. So basically, I wrap little items of pink or blue with confetti and a note that says it's a girl or it's a boy. And then when they unravel the pumpkin, they go through layers of orange and then black, and then they come to the confetti that says it's a girl, it's a boy. And then they keep going to find different items. So it's a fun little thing to do.
Yeah, I like that a lot because I know my brother, for instance, had a cake ordered for my parents, and that's also great. But, you hear the cake thing that's been done before. And I think this is really clever and definitely perfect for this time of year if you're doing a reveal in the fall.
Yeah, it is. I love fall. It's a great season.
I know. So tell me how it's been balancing 3 kids and your business.
It's been a challenge, but, they inspire me every day, too. So my daughter's 10, and she will help me come up with ideas, and, she loves it, too. And this is the first year that they're all in school full time, so it gives me a lot of time to work on the business.
Yeah, that's nice because I know it's tough. I was just saying to somebody else that, when you have to stay home with the kids, obviously you love that time, but it's also time that you don't have to work on a business.
Right. And when I was making surprise balls and they were home with me, they, of course, they're little, so they see all the toys and the trinkets and the candy, and yeah, they get into it and they have fun. But it's challenging too when they're there with me because they like to sneak some stuff off on their own.
Right, exactly. It's like, oh, where did that go that I was just going to put in this? Right. And it's
right.
gone. I know my daughter loves to hide things. I'm still looking for our car keys from over 6 months ago.
Right. Yeah, it's great.
So tell me, what else have you done for your kids' birthday parties?
Let's see. We've done princess theme parties. We've done a pirate theme party. I have 2 girls and a boy, so there's been several different.
That's great. I mean, you're so creative, and I give you so much credit. And that's what I love about Etsy. It's just that you can find such creative ideas, and you think, oh man, why didn't I think of that? But it's a lot of times where I'm not capable of doing something as creative as somebody else. And that's why I love that site so much.
Yeah, I've always been kind of crafty, and I love baking and decorating cupcakes and doing the fondant toppers. I did that for a while. I sold cupcakes and the fondant toppers, but then I kind of transitioned into party supplies and favors and things like that. So it's been a lot of fun, and I'm blessed.
Yeah, absolutely. So where can people find Confetti and Twine? Should they just go to Etsy and Google it?
They can go to Etsy, yep.
Okay, great. And are you on social?
I am on social. I'm on Instagram and Facebook.
Perfect. All right. Well, Shannon Bridger, thank you so much for joining me today. She's a mom of 3 and owner of Confetti and Twine. You have to check out her online boutique. Such cool items on there if you're looking to plan a birthday party or any type of event, or maybe you're looking to do a gender reveal. Coming up next, we're going to talk with Nicole Feliciano. She is the CEO of MomTrends Media. It's a brand that publishes one of the nation's top blogs for moms, MomTrends.com, and the Family Ski and Snowboard Guide. You're listening to Passport Mommy. More coming up in just a few.
Passport Mommy with Michelle Jerson is a show about the journey of motherhood. Joining you on your greatest adventure, here's Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy.
Welcome back. Don't forget, you could always follow me on social, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. It's at Passport Mommy. And I'm excited to have on the line with me Nicole Feliciano. She is the CEO of MomTrends Media. It is $1 million brand that publishes one of the nation's top blogs for moms, MomTrends.com, as well as the annual Family Ski and Snowboard Guide. Launched in 2007, her company produces digital content as well as virtual and live events, all geared to delight and engage modern moms. And I've been to one, and they really do. A former fashion executive, she embraces the changing social media landscape and always wonders what's next. Nicole, thank you so much for joining me today.
My absolute pleasure, Michelle. Thank you so much for having me.
Sure. So you recently wrote a book called Mom Boss, Balancing Entrepreneurship, Kids, and Success.
Yes, I wrote that. It was coming up on the anniversary of 10 years of running a business. Oh,
not recently. Okay.
No, it came out 2 years ago, and the book was a great recap of the 10 years of growing a brand as well as growing my family. And I think there's a lot of women out there who think motherhood means you have to put a pause button on career, but this was hopefully a guide for women to see that they can have both career and family. Now, I'm not saying that you can have everything, but I do believe you can have those two things. And, it's about ebbing and flowing the growth of your business as family obligations come up. And it was a great process of writing. And I did it really for the other female entrepreneurs out there who are wondering, is it possible to launch something new while also being intimately involved and engaged with my family. And hopefully there are more and more businesses being launched by moms. And I can't meet all of them personally, but it was a great experience to write it and give that resource to women.
Yeah, I will say personally that I struggle with that and that I have so many ideas, and even launching my current business and with this radio show. And at the beginning, when I first gave birth, I thought, how on earth can I do everything? This just takes up all my time. And I was a stay-at-home mom. I still am. But there's just things have to give, right? And I think a lot of stay-at-home moms have to say, you know what, it's okay if I bring my child maybe to a program for a few hours a day and give myself the time to build my business.
Oh, you have to get over the mom guilt quickly and know that there's no such thing as perfect parenting. We all do, the best we can with what we're given. And I think that, using guilt and shame, mom shaming for one another is it's inappropriate.
It's terrible.
And it's not moving any of us forward. So if you need to pop a video on to take a conference call, go for it. Whatever works for your family, give yourself permission to do.
Yeah, I love that advice. All right. So it's been 10 years. You've built an incredible brand. Tell me about the Family Ski and Snowboard Guide, because it's coming up on that time of year.
It really is. I was just up in Killington, Vermont on Tuesday, and they are already open for the season. They have a big World Cup race coming up there over Thanksgiving, so they're gearing up for that. But October is really a great time to start thinking about your ski trips and planning those family ski trips. And we came into the ski business a roundabout way because my family is passionate about time spent outdoors. Monday through Friday, we are city people, but on the weekends, we really want to get out in nature, unplug, get away from our phones and our laptops. And we found that skiing is a great activity for people of multiple ages. So families that have teenagers to tots, it's a great activity to get everybody outdoors. And you start to really resent winter a lot less when you're involved in some sort of snow sport. So we had started doing editorial about 7 or 8 years ago on skiing and snowboarding and snow play in general. And then 5 years ago, we developed our first ski guide where we were putting all of these resources together in one pretty digital magazine and making it available for moms. So it's everything from where to go to what to pack. There's usually some fun recipes in there for winter cooking. There's usually a craft in there for kids. And it's a fun resource for us to create. And we're really hoping to encourage families to take additional ski trips if they're used to taking one or two, and really getting some new families out on snow. And specifically, I'd love to see even more diversity out there on the slopes. And we're really going for those families as well at MomTrends.
Right. So let me ask you, because skiing is one sport that I never learned as a kid, and I was really upset about it. And I tried learning it probably 5 or 10 years ago, not very successfully. And so I gave up, and I thought, but you know what? I really want my kids to learn how to ski, and I want us to be able to take those ski trips. So am I a lost cause? Can I still learn?
You can definitely still learn. I didn't start skiing until I was 35. I grew up in Maryland playing lacrosse, so skiing was not what we did as kids. I married into a ski family, so I knew that it was going to be a part of my life. I will say, getting a private lesson or a small group lesson is really key when you're an adult, because verbal cues work differently for different people. So if you've got a large group of 10 and one instructor, what he's saying or she's saying again and again may not work for you. But if you're in a smaller group, you can say, I'm not really understanding how you're explaining that. Can you try it in a different way? And I love that some resorts are doing more and more female-only classes and camps and weekends. So that's also a great opportunity where you're around a bunch of women who are really encouraging. I know that Stratton is starting more programs up in Vermont, and Alta has a great ski camp just for women. So those are two resources that I would recommend. So it's not a lost cause for sure, but I will say the younger you can get those kids going, if you can get them skiing before they're teenagers, and before they're hitting those growth spurts where they feel more giraffe in their legs and in their body, do it. I think a great time, 5 or 6 is a great time to learn. Our kids were both on skis when they were 2, which is a little extreme, but
wow.
There's, that's elementary school is a great time to learn new things.
Right. And so with your kids being on skis at 2, how is that for them?
Now they don't remember what it was like not to ski. So that's the advantage of starting them so early. And I will say at early ages, there is a lot of bribery involved. Don't be afraid to have those M&Ms or Skittles in your pocket to get through the early days. And there's a lot of bathroom breaks, and there's a lot of just stopping to look at snow and play in snow. And you just have to embrace all of that as part of the process. When you're teaching little kids, that you take a lot of breaks. There may be only one run in the morning and one run in the afternoon, and that's all good. And now, I'm definitely the slowest one in my family. My kids are great skiers, and it just brings me so much joy. Last year, we saw a bunch of families went to Park City, Utah. There were 17 families from our school here in New York, and the kids all went off skiing together. And it's just a great activity. None of them were on their phones. They were out in nature having a blast, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I am a big advocate of any trip that causes you to unplug, because I feel like even when people do go away, they are still glued to their cell phones. But when you're skiing, it's kind of hard to do both.
Definitely hard to do it. And one of the things that I did want to note while we were talking, a lot of states, I know both in Utah, Colorado, and Vermont, offer free season passes for 5th and 6th graders. So for families that are looking to get their kids into skiing, it is a great time to try. So in Ski Utah has this 5th and 6th graders ski free. So all you need to do is you show a school ID or a birth certificate. You get this season pass for the year, and your kids can ski at all of these great mountains for free. So it is a fantastic year or years to get kids started. And, on that note as well, season passes are a great way for families to get going because, again, what would I say? When they're little, they may want to do 1 or 2 runs and then go in for cocoa. And that's great. But if you've paid $100 for a pass, you're going to be a little resentful of that. Versus buying a season pass, you're going to spend more initially. Say you'll spend $300 for a children's season pass for the year. But if you go 5 or 6 times and they do a half day here, a half day there, it just doesn't matter. And you're going to do those incremental days where you're saying, oh, we're just going to go ski for the morning today. Or, there's that weird day off of school. We're going to drive up and we're just going to ski for a half day today. And I think those incremental days that aren't on the big holiday weekend where there's all these loaded expectations and sometimes longer lines, that's where you really could create kids who love the outdoors and love skiing and snowboarding.
Yeah, excellent advice. And you know what? And even if you as a parent aren't a huge skier, I always think the lodge is a great environment. It's such a nice, cozy getaway. And I'm just wondering if you have a few favorite lodges where you like to go.
I do have a few favorite lodges. I absolutely love the Beaver Creek facilities. If you can get out to Colorado, there is so much to do at the base of Beaver Creek. There is shopping. There's ice skating. They have fantastic restaurants. So if you're going for that whole après-ski vibe with kids along, you really can't beat Beaver Creek. Stowe is another one. Vail Resorts bought Stowe a couple of years back, and they've done a lot to create a wonderful, warm environment in the lodges. And so if you're not a skier, there's still a cozy place to read. There's fantastic spas at the base of Stowe as well. So while the kids are off getting a lesson, you can give yourself permission for a little bit of pampering.
That sounds good to me.
I give a big thumbs up for that. And I would also say there's places like Sugarbush, which are smaller in the draw. That's up in northern Vermont. That they have some great snowshoeing programs, so everybody can snowshoe. Everyone can snowshoe. If you've got, the ability to walk, you can snowshoe. And they've got dedicated trails that are on the mountain, so you're still having that outdoor experience. It's very inexpensive. A lot of times it's $30 a day to rent your snowshoes. So
wow.
you're still out there, and you can compare your notes with the kids. And you might even be able to spot them as they're skiing or in their lessons as you're snowshoeing. So I would definitely advise women to give that a try. That's a gentle way to ease yourself into the snow sports and spend time outside, get a nice workout in, and also show the kids that you love winter too.
Right. And I think that is important because you don't want them to grow up dreading where they live and dreading winter. And I know it can be painful some years, but you know what? It's funny. Every year before winter, like right around this time, I think, oh my gosh, I should live somewhere warm. And then when winter comes and you are doing those things and you're visiting those really cozy lodges or like you said, going skiing, doing activities in the winter, it's not so bad. And then it's over before you know it.
And one of our traditions, we also stay at a great resort. This is going to be our 4th year in a row going to this lovely German resort called the Sonnenalp in Vail. And they just do it right. They have the best cocoa. There's a kids' room there. There's an indoor-outdoor pool and a beautiful spa as well. And dogs are welcome. But the last time we were there were a couple huskies staying at the resort. And, finding something, you're going to spend a little bit more to stay on mountain, and this is in the Vail Village, but it is just the convenience of being able to walk to everything and being able to, again, just pop on the mountain for a few runs versus, okay, we're driving someplace, we've got to ski from the first run to the last run, and then we're going to drive home. Don't put that much pressure on yourself and your family.
Right. I like that advice a lot. And I think that advice carries over to any trip you're taking when you have little ones. I know when I traveled when I was single, it's a lot different than when you're a parent and you just say, hey, you know what? We're going to do 1 activity a day, 2 activities a day. Don't set the standards so high and you'll have a great time. Nicole Feliciano, thank you so much for joining me today from MomTrends Media, and your family ski and snowboard guide will be out soon. Where can people get more information?
They can head to MomTrends.com and they can find the guide. If you Google Family Ski Guide, our guides from the past few years will pop up and they'll give you tons of information.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Next up, we have Jody Grant and Audrey Hutchinson. They were going to be talking about the Keeping the Lights On after school program that happened this past week. More coming up. I'm Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy.
Motherhood is both amazing and difficult at the same time. The Passport Mommy, Michelle Jerson, is here to share in your journey.
Welcome back to Passport Mommy. I'm Michelle Jerson, and today we are talking about Lights On After School. Jody Grant, Executive Director, After School Alliance, and Audrey Hutchinson, the Director of Education and Expanded Learning, the Institute for Youth Education and Families, the National League of Cities, is here to join me. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this today is because we had something that happened on Thursday, October 25th. More than 1 million people across the nation and the U.S. military bases worldwide turn the lights on for after school by opening their doors to showcase the skills students gain and the talents they develop at after school programs. And I personally think these after school programs are so important. So I'm so happy, Jody and Audrey, you're here with me today to just talk a little bit more about them.
Well, we're thrilled to be here and highlight this big celebration.
Sure. So tell me a little bit, for everybody who is not familiar with Keeping the Lights On after school, tell me about it.
All right, so we have created this national celebration at the most local of levels to really showcase what's going on in today's after-school programs, because after-school programs keep kids safe, they inspire them to learn, and they give working parents peace of mind. But so many people think about the safety, they don't realize about all the opportunities, and we want to shine a light on all of the extraordinary activities that are going on in after-school programs, whether it's robotics or coding or dance or music and mentoring, debate clubs, to highlight that the kids in these programs are having access to a host of learning opportunities that are going to make them stronger adults.
Right. Absolutely. I remember when I was younger, I did the debate team, and I was so shy when I was younger, and that really helped me a lot. And I credit it for just kind of maybe leading me on my path to what I did later in life. So I do think that these activities are so important. And so what happens to students who have no after-school programs available to them?
So right now, today, 10 million kids will be going to after-school programs. There's another 20 million whose parents want these programs for them, but they don't have access. And of those kids, about 11 million are unsupervised. It's staggering. 11 million kids unsupervised after school. And they are 3 times more likely to abuse drugs or alcohol. They're 3 times more likely to join gangs. They're 37% more likely to become a teen parent. We're more and more worried about just screen time, antisocial behavior, and just not learning. So even if, a kid just going home, they could have all these opportunities to be social and interactive and engaged and expanding their horizons, or they could be, sitting alone.
Right. And so is federal funding for after-school programs secure for the future?
Absolutely not. So for the past 2 years, there's been a proposal from the White House to eliminate all funding for after school, which would be devastating for communities around the country. And the good news is that there's been a bipartisan effort and strong bipartisan support for after school, and we've been able to fight that back. And with that bipartisan support, we've gotten actually some modest increases in funding, but it's not enough, and the fight's going to happen again. So we need to broadcast and showcase why these communities are so important. And I should say we have bipartisan support because members of Congress go home and they see the difference these programs make in their communities, and that's why they support them.
Exactly. I mean, I think anybody who has children, or like you said, even if you don't have children and you just see in your community, it absolutely makes a difference. And I don't understand why these programs would be on the chopping block. So how can people participate in Lights On After School and support after school programs if they'd like to get involved?
So go to www.afterschoolalliance.org, and you can see activities and programs that are going on in your community and all sorts of ways to truly support after school, both locally, statewide, and nationally.
Yeah, I just want to plug for municipal leaders. Mayors and council members have become major champions across the United States to support after school because it's so important in terms of keeping kids safe, getting them off the street after 3 p.m., and also keeping them out of trouble. So it becomes a quality of life issue. It also becomes an economic issue because parents can stay at work without the headache knowing that their kids aren't safe. So we want to applaud their efforts and continue to get more and more mayors and council members engaged at the local level.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a good point because parents do have to work until 5, 6 o'clock, maybe sometimes even later. So to not know what their child is up to versus knowing that they're in theater practice or, like you said, coding and robotics, that to me, I can't even believe that's a thing because it wasn't when I was younger. But I just think it's amazing just how many programs are available for after school activities if only we have the funding. Well, thank you so much again, Jody and Audrey. I really appreciate you joining me today on the program and shedding light on such an important topic.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Don't forget, you could follow me on social, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. It's Passport Mommy. We're always giving away cool swag. And if you've missed any of the shows, you can find them on my website, passportmommy.com. Have a great rest of the day.